Hi everyone, welcome. What you're looking at here is a spreadsheet that I created to track information about this worm bin that you see down here. And in the past, I used to just print this document out and bring it with me, and then we would include old versions of that document as bedding in the feeding areas. And down there you can see an example of one. But more recently, ever since we switched from paper to plastic coverings here, this paper has been allowing the top surface of the system to remain dry enough that these top covering bits of paper have just not gotten much worm attention. So they've just persisted. So this printout actually goes back to when we fed the 18th time. And if you look at this document now, you're going to see we're up to feeding number 21. And I already scribbled in the stuff that we're going to be giving them today. You know, originally we started out with the stems of pumpkins, the stems of Brussels sprouts, the stems of peppers, different things that are just lasting forever. But more recently I've switched to food items that are a little bit speedier on the breakdown and going to linger in the system a little less than some of those really old bits that we've gotten there. There's a gourd, there's some, maybe even some leftovers of those spheres of corn cob bits. So today's menu: cucumber, apple peel, and even though it's a really slow-moving item, this little stem of a jalapeno pepper and its core, minus the seeds, snuck into today's food supply. So, always fun to check this out. I guess I tried to get it in the camera long enough that if anyone wanted to see it in greater detail, they could just pause the video and check it out more closely. But I don't do this in all my systems. No way. A lot of record keeping. Well, not really that much, but because I do maintain a lot of those bits of info that you see on there anyway in my normal tracking spreadsheet. But getting down to that level of detail to note, you know, exactly what was fed each time, and then set up the counter to, you know, not that that's a big deal either, but yeah, just not the kind of overhead I would intend to have just for general worm farming. So this came back on briefly just to show that this was where we last fed when we came in here. Strawberries, I think, was what we had on there, right? Let me just, that's what I like about this, you know, if I can't remember, keep it in my head, I just check, and it says banana, strawberry. 12 days ago. 12 days since the last check-in of this 234-day-old system. This was the last feeding, so ping-pong style feeding, what we're doing here, is going to lead us to feeding on this side when we're done. And since I don't have coffee, this is going to become their feeding zone indicator. I keep fiddling with that thing, but let's put that there. And we'll just set it aside when we finally get to feeding over there. But before we do, let's explore how this side of the bin, with various leftovers in here, is doing. Stuff like strawberry that we gave them last time, I seriously doubt we're going to see any leftovers of after 12 days. But something like this gourd here, I don't even know how long it's been. It's been in here for some time now. Gourd, feeding number 12, 109 days ago. Things holding up pretty good, but we did manage to puncture a little hole into the side of it where worms always go in to hang out. Strawberry, banana, I think we'll see banana peels, but any of the yummy stuff that's on the banana will probably have been nibbled off in this much time. I've been bumping into what I believe are avocado seeds, but in my past experiences with trying to compost avocado pits or seeds down in my worm bins, always resulted in them getting a little bit soft within a fairly reasonable amount of time. I could crumble them up, but these are just, for whatever reason, not getting there. Maybe I misremembered and used something else there other than avocado pits. I do not recall. Here's one of those spheres of the corn cob. These go way to almost to the very beginning. Corn cob spheres. I tried grinding corn cob in my little magic bullet blender, and some of them just wouldn't grind down, and they just kept swirling around inside the little grinder and turned into little spheres. And I've still got maybe a dozen of these laying around, but these go back 176 days. And if I were to crush this thing, it would fall apart into little pieces. But I like watching how things break down at their own pace without my help, so we won't be doing that today. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot more to see down here as far as leftovers are concerned. I definitely see a good number of springtails. And they're just kind of helping with the process, I guess. Well, I wouldn't mind, definitely wouldn't mind having fewer springtails. This was so weird. I saw this little ball of worms. It actually rolled as a ball out of the main core of the material that it is in. And that's how it caught my eye. I wonder what the heck they're feeding on. There must be something really yummy in there. Oh, you know what? I see a little creepy crawly flying insect there, and I see another one right there. So I didn't get that impression when we first came in here that maybe there was a flying insect issue, but you know what? I've been doing this in almost all my check-ins lately, is just trying to do a preventative top coating spray down, and here we've already disrupted the top surface over on that side, but here we might still have an opportunity to spread some of this BTI bacteria solution, mosquito dunks basically, to see if it'll maybe help us control the flying insect situation. So I never know, what's going on, but when I see a couple of those things, it does seem to me like assuming the worst and going down that path is probably a good way to play it. See, like down here too, these really large mounds of worms hanging out. I think this was our original little pile over here, and then it seemed like I was encountering another one over here, and that must be proof positive for anyone who might be skeptical that worms don't love strawberries and bananas. They pretty much went mad for that stuff. But you know what? I don't recall bumping into a banana peel. And after only 12 days, it would definitely still be here. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll just do one more quick, just inquisitive plow through. Maybe it's in some of the material that we excavated earlier, but it's not important. Definitely not an important thing to track down all the leftovers and look up how old they are and inspect them. We just do that for fun every now and then. But you know what? Totally forgot to return some of these found items back down into the feeding zone over on the side where they belong. Corncob sphere, pits, and not sure if there's anything else notable. Little bits of bedding here and there, but I think that those are the primary leftovers to be found in this system on that side of the bin. On this side of the bin, I don't know, do we keep going back to the spreadsheet to look up how old things are when we find them? I guess sometimes it is interesting to know, especially with some unusual items that a lot of people might not have experience with. So still here, going back 2 feedings. This is asparagus, so fibrous down the middle. So they've nibbled away all the soft juicy bits of this stuff, but there's still a good amount of the tougher fibrous stuff for them to break down. And talk about tough and fibrous, this stalk of the Brussels sprout plant is certainly a tough item. I've got another system where I've got one of these still holding together as a tubular shaped object, as a stem still, hasn't broken apart into these bits, but even when it does, it's going to still be just sitting there, breaking down over time. Here's the stem of a pepper. There's going to be a lot of these asparagus fragments because there was a bunch of it thrown in here as the feeding 2 times ago. Pumpkin stem. I believe there's 2 pumpkin stems over in this edge of the bin. There it is. No, I thought I saw it. So whatever, yeah, here it is. It just got excavated as part of some other stuff coming out. So we'll get all those old bits and pieces of leftovers back down into the feeding area as we apply today's fresh little helping of assorted yummy foods for the wormies. And I've just kind of Almost buried all of the old stuff that I'd like to include with our feeding. Let's keep that stuff accessible. I have gone kind of big here on this hole intentionally because I would really like to be super generous with bedding in here. It feels to me like I've been super stingy with bedding lately, so I'm coming in with my prepared two-tone stuff. The old stuff was really, really damp, as you can see, and this stuff has been just sitting here soaking in itself for so long. Next to it is the stuff that I just prepared not too long ago, which is still not quite soaked in yet. Give them a little of this, a little of that, and that'll amount to a fairly generous helping of bedding for these little guys. And in can come our meal, of which, if you ask me, we'll see stem of the pepper. That thing will stick around for a long time. Everything else, though, well, we will definitely see these very, all the apple that's still on the peel will get nibbled off, but the peel itself will take a little bit longer. But this is not the type of feeding that's going to show many signs of leftovers other than the stem of the pepper going forward. And, well, let's start bringing back the old items. Times like this I feel a little bit bad putting these little wormies that are on all these leftover foods right onto this pile of frozen food. Let's use that as an excuse for another little insulating layer of bedding onto which we can return the old food items, and then we'll do so with a clear conscience that we're not causing discomfort or pain to our little wormy friends. So let's get as much of this stuff back in there as we can, because if it's on the surface, it's going to get dry and it's not going to get a lot of attention. As long as it's a little bit below the surface of the container. This little guy was not too happy with all my fiddling around. Almost got out of the container. Good thing I spotted him. So, whatever. I think I was rambling. Let's not worry about completing the thought. Let's worry about completing this feeding. And let these little guys get back to work for us. So, it does feel like with that much bedding that we just applied, we're going to have a little bit of a kind of an inclined slope over here where we're built up on the side that we just fed on, and then it's going to sort of slope down and be a little less thick or deep down on the opposite edge. But by the next time we come back in here, all that bedding will have settled, a lot of the food will have been consumed, so perhaps we'll see sort of a kind of a hump of this stuff in the middle remaining. Now, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned because I just saw another wormy trying to crawl up and out. So I think it is time to cover these little guys up and stop disturbing them. We'll bring back this diagram, but before we put all these objects back in, let's not forget we wanted to give them just a little bit more of this BTI mosquito dunk solution, just in case flying insects get any bright ideas of moving in here. This stuff will counteract their plans. Alright everyone, that's it for our check-in with the mixed red worms on day, not 212, 234 today. Coming along great. Feeding 21 just went in, and we'll come back at some point in the future and see how everything else is continuing. But for now, that's it for the check-in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.